From a very young age, I was made aware of my size. I've always been big. Yeah, I mean, I know that my nana was wanting the best for me, but she was on at me about my weight from the age of 4, apparently. And so I grew up with pretty major self-esteem issues and a very increased awareness of my being big and abnormal. I was 184 centimetres tall from the age of 13, so it was a lot taller, and my friends, bless them, I love them to bits, but they were much, much shorter than me. At the age of 12, I'd been really unwell with glandular fever and lost a lot of weight, and my nana was very keen to get me on a diet as soon as possible, and she said to me that it's inevitable that when you lose weight, you're going to put it back on and that you have got to fight this. And really, that's when the real battle began. I couldn't lose weight and keep it off. Whenever I lost weight, the words came into my mind. It's inevitable that you're going to put this on. You've got to fight it. I had continual severe headaches throughout my teens, but it wasn't really until I was 17 that it came to a peak, and there were 6 weeks, I think it was, of phenomenally intense headaches. And I was then sent to have a scan, and it was found that I had a brain tumour. Where the tumour was blocked one of the ventricles in the brain, and there was so much pressure in the brain that there was a risk of something major happening. So it was inoperable, couldn't be removed. It was in the brain stem. In the year 2000, I had to have 6 lots of surgery in 8 days. That was due to the shunt, the small pipe that they'd put in '94, that blocked. And so the fluid couldn't drain from the brain. The brain had actually grown attached to it, and so it caused hemorrhaging in the brain and then clotting, and they believe now that I had several small strokes. In 2002, they found that the cells of the tumour were activating. The tumour hadn't grown, but the cells were showing signs that it was about to. So I underwent radiotherapy. I was coming out of that time, and I ended up back in hospital and having 3 lots of neurosurgery in 2 weeks. After 3 lots of surgery in 2004, I was put onto steroids, and yeah, that brought a whole new problem onto the scene. I gained 40 kilos in 10 months. It was hell. I no longer recognised myself in the mirror. I would just have a flurry of thoughts about how much I hated myself, and I'd just go into every negative thing there was about myself. That was the first time I turned to God and said to him, "Show me what you see when you look in the mirror." And even though he didn't ever show me a picture, he did give me the strength to work out on the cross trainer every day during the weakest years of my life, and the weight started coming off. For a decade, everything was difficult, with pain. I was up at doctors 3 times a week for several years. I haven't been able to work for the past 17 years because the pain's just been too debilitating. My life was consumed with I can't thoughts. As soon as someone suggested I do something, the immediate thought that came up was, I can't do that. What I've learned is that we can actually reprogram our brains. We all have thoughts that are going down neural pathways. And for me, I'd had the thought of, oh my goodness, it's hurting so much within the location. That thought was going thousands of times a day, so that was like a 10-lane highway. However, retraining my brain and changing that thought pattern and changing that neural pathway, I was able to redirect my brain. And now, that thought never goes there. And these new thoughts go down that pathway. In 2015, I hadn't walked anything more than 100 metres. I was then able to do my first 5K race. To be honest, the thought terrified me, but I loved it. Now I'm training for a half marathon. I mean, it's crazy. Crazy exciting, but crazy at the same time. For me, it hasn't been one mountain to climb, really. It's been a mountain range with multiple mountains to climb over the years. But the one thing that has been my absolute strength through it all is having God there with me.